am super excited to bring tonight my good friend, Ricky Carruth, because we're going to talk a whole lot about getting on the darn phone. What are you afraid of? Why are you scared of what's on the other end? And all the various things I hear again and again and again. Before I introduce Ricky and give him a chance to talk to you guys, I want to remind you that we do this show live for you in the real estate world. It's a Q&A show. So if you've got a question at any point, you can post it in the Facebook group, in the event. You can post it in the YouTube comments or use the hashtag office hours on Twitter, and we will look for your questions. So ask anytime, because tonight it's all about the phone. So Ricky, my man, the Diamond himself, former #1 heavyweight champion of Alabama. Ricky, why don't you introduce yourself to the Office Hours audience? I'll press a couple of buttons and let us get started.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. Good to be here. You came on my show months back, and we connected there. So, I appreciate you bringing me on and introducing me to your audience. I'm Ricky Carruth. I'm from Orange Beach, Alabama, born and raised right on the Gulf Coast, right on the beach, Florida-Alabama line. Been in real estate since '02. It's been a bumpy ride through the market crash, oil spills, hurricanes, all that. So I grew up roofing houses. So that's where I learned a lot of work ethic and drive. And I've just always been a driven person, really. But, at the end of the day, I feel like it all comes back to roofing houses. Like I say it all the time. Roofing is like the foundation for me because, like, when you roof, you get paid based on how many shingles you lay. And it's the same thing in real estate. You get paid for what you do, not just showing up. And so I think that's a big thing that people don't realize when they get in real estate. Like a lot of them feel like, I think this is the reason why a lot of people fail, is because they get in thinking it's gonna, they get paid for just being here, and like back in the day before internet, just showing up was a big part of it because there was a lot of walk-ins to the companies. You could do duty. There's a lot of walk-ins. Now with internet, nobody walks in any real estate companies and asks what's going on because they already know everything going on because they looked at it on their phone. So
you mean just hanging out in the real estate office, right? Just letting them come to you. Yeah.
I've never sat duty anywhere. I've never been a big open house guy. I've always just been super aggressive on the phone. I just felt like making the contact and, creating those relationships voice to voice was the #1 thing. Where I got it wrong when the market crashed, when I lost everything, where I got it wrong was in the beginning of my career, I was driven. I worked hard. I got on the phone. I created those deals, but I was going after deals, and I was more concerned with closings and making deals happen and stuff. So it took me having to lose everything through the crash. And to realize that relationships is where the money's at, because each relationship is worth 10 to 20 deals to you over the course of your career through repeat business and referrals and so on and so forth. And like if you can crack the code on developing those relationships where people know you, like you, and trust you forever, and then crack the second code of staying relevant with them forever, then you've got something. And so when I came back from the crash, I don't know if is this too much? I mean, I'm kind of getting into my story here.
Look, this is Office Hours. This is all about kicking back with the professor and letting people know how it really is. Believe me, this is your audience. All right.
Okay.
So now, I mean, look here in Louisiana, for those of you that don't know, Alabama, where Ricky works, and New Orleans, where we're headquartered, we are right down the road from each other. So when he's talking about things like the oil spill, when he's talking about the crash, specifically in a market that's heavy in condos, we heavy in tourism, which is optional dollars, we can really identify with each other on what that felt like. Because in a lot of ways, we got hammered, and it just felt like the hits kept coming, right? The recession, the oil spill, it's like, man, make it stop. So the part of your story, Ricky, I think that a lot of people would be interested in, that I know, is what was the turning point? like when you say you were kind of transactional, you had these things going on, but what was the turning point where you went from zero to diamond?
Well, it takes a long time for a piece of coal to turn into a diamond. Like it doesn't happen overnight. Um, but the turning point was, it took me 6 years to figure it out, and another 6 years on top of that of implementing what I figured out to actually get where I wanted to be, which was 100 deals a year. That was kind of my thing. So the turning point was losing everything in the crash, like losing it all, and then like taking those 2 or 3 years. I read 100 books. I went back to roofing houses. I worked on an oil rig for a year. I studied the market. I really wanted to know why I failed, what I was going to do to come back, how I was going to stay up, stay on top once I got back. It was a very humbling to go from making 200,000 or 300,000 a year as a 23-year-old to going bankrupt and going back to roofing houses. And so, but I never was like unhappy though, it's all the same. Like to me, I'm still roofing houses, even though I'm where I'm at, because I work almost just as hard or harder than I did. Roofing houses is such a physical job. Real estate's mental, right? And mental can drain you just as much or worse than physical. So, I mean, it's the same thing to me. So when I lost everything, like I worked hard up to that point, and then I never lost steam. I just kept working. I just jumped on the roof and started working. Then I jumped on an oil rig, then back into real estate. So I think the turning point, like, there's a couple turning points. One was losing everything, reading books, trying to figure it out, realizing that relationships are far more valuable than transactions. And then when I got back into real estate, actually trying to like nail down my new system of how I was going to like really crush it to the next level and forever. And so there's a whole story there of like how I developed what I do with my weekly email, and how I developed like who I'm going to call, why I'm going to call them, what I'm going to say, so there, that's a whole story.
Yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate that. And number one, that's one of the reasons that me and Ricky are so aligned on so many things, is that I talk about all the time, effort always wins, right? Effort beats talent when talent won't work. And if you put talent and effort together, okay, you got super agent, right? But the point is you do what you have to do. And if you notice, there's a hard line for me just to connect it between 2008/9 and about 2014 or so, where I was nowhere to be found, at least online and out there. Because guess what? I was in the classroom. I was teaching all of our classes. I was writing courses. I was figuring our way through it, because if mortgage lenders weren't making money, they weren't coming to real estate school. If appraisers weren't making money, they weren't coming to appraisal school. So we were in the same stuff as everybody else. But one thing, and tonight's episode about picking up the darn phone, that I like about you, that we've talked a lot about, is that you're not afraid of the phone, number one. And number two, it's actually one of your core pillars that I believe has built your business. Can you talk a little bit about how important the phone is specifically outbound in building your real estate business?
I think that it doesn't matter what avenue of business, like whatever your lead generation is, like if it's buyer leads, if it's referrals, if it's past clients, like even if it's not circle prospecting for sale by owners, expireds, even if it's not those cliche coached, cold call situations, phone calls are still 100% essential to exponential growth. Like even if it's internet leads, you got to call them right then. If you have somebody that referred someone to you, you got to call them and talk to them. Like conversation is the key to all closings. And so I learned that really early on. Like before I even realized that relationships over transactions, I knew that conversation was the key to all closings. I figured that out within about the first year.
Absolutely.
Um,
For sure.
yeah.
So the more
I think I broke up.
conversations you have, the more closings, right?
Right. So when I realized that, then I was like, okay, well, why don't I just call as many people as I can, and have as many conversations as I can, and then I'll be the biggest guy. If I felt like if I called more people than anyone else, then I was going to be number one. There's no way I couldn't be if I'm the one having more conversations than anyone else. Like if conversation is the key to all closings, and I'm having more conversations than anyone else, then I should be having more closings than anyone else.
Right.
And so that proved to be the case. I mean, that was exactly the path that I knew that I had to take, was like creating those conversations. And so, with the phone, it's like that's how you can create, more conversations than anything else, right? There's no way. I mean, door knocking is a special situation. I like door knocking is I'm a fan, right? I love anything where you can have real conversations with property owners. I'm a fan. But
Yeah.
I don't feel like you can I don't feel like you can door knock as many people as you can call, especially with triple dialers and the way that, the world is with technology and how quick everything is. You could communicate so much better. So, I mean, even if you use Facebook and you get the leads and then you email them because you're scared to call, and all that, you eventually have to talk to them. Like you cannot just do a deal without talking to anyone,
Ricky,
right?
can you say that for my audience again, please? Can you please say that again?
Like even if you're getting buyer leads or internet leads or Facebook leads or Instagram leads or wherever you're getting leads, and you want to email them or text them because you're scared to call them or whatever, and that's how you want to follow up. I mean, by the way, you're not going to get the deal because another agent that they're emailing is going to call them and they're going to get the deal. But some are going to slip through, and then you're going to be there, and eventually for the deal to happen, you're going to have to talk to them like voice to voice. and so me, I say, if why are we waiting? If we're trying to be the number one agent, if we're trying to make $1 million a year, if we're trying to do 100 deals a year, whatever we're trying to do, if it involves exponential growth, then we got to understand this principle, and we have to initiate as many conversations as we can, coming from a place of how can I help you, as opposed to do you want to buy or sell, or who do you know that might want to buy or sell, or I'm calling all the homeowners in your area, or can I put you on my big, huge email database so I can send you a blast email along with everybody else? I think skipping all that, I think those are kind of you should never say any of those things. I think it should just be like a house sold around the corner. Didn't know if there's anything in the world I could do for you today, and then let the conversation go from there. Ask if they have an agent they would deal with if they're not ready, and say, look, I'd love to stay in touch with you until you do decide you want to do something. Would that be okay? What's your email address?
Yeah. Which is right out of your script, by the way, which we'll be talking about scripts here in a minute. So if you guys are curious about what to say and specifically how to start a conversation, Ricky's script is great for cold calling. I've got one for you here about if somebody asks you, especially if you're new, what to say to that, or if you haven't sold a lot yet, or if you're sitting in front of a seller and they ask you that question that you're afraid of. We got scripts for you, so we're going to get to that. So stay tuned because Ricky's got a great one. And I've watched him in action, by the way, do it live on YouTube, which is a lot of fun for me because once upon a time, I used to watch my dad stand in front of seminars with 50 to 100 people and do exactly the same thing that you do, Ricky. And I always loved it. He's like, you want to show you how to do it? Boom, he'd pop a phone on the desk and he'd start calling. And you're doing that now at scale in YouTube. I want to make a point, and then I've got a question. I know there's a couple of common burning questions. I think that'll be for the audience, but I want to make a comment relative to conversations and relationships. And that is, if you think that bots and automatic text messages and drip email campaigns and all of these various things are going to be like the secret sauce that's going to make you millions in real estate because it's going to replace you having to interact with that consumer or with that client, I think what you really need to understand is if that's what you believe, then guess what? There will be an Uber of real estate. Open Door will win. The iBuyers and that whole phenomenon and robots will replace you. So if you want to be replaced by that, just keep thinking that way. Or think like me and Ricky do. Those are all avenues for me to be able to create a relationship with you, right? Me and Ricky know each other through the internet, but the real relationship is when we spend time together in person. Right? The real relationship is when we pick up the phone and talk to each other. So one quick comment, and Ricky, I got a question for you, or really two main ones. But guys, stop thinking that there's this next secret thing that you're going to be able to do and not have to talk to people and develop relationships. It's the freaking it's the opposite. You're trying to get your fishnets in all the various places people are to get them on the phone or in person so you can have that conversation. So let's just get that clear, because I think Ricky does it all, but it's all for one of those two things. Just out of curiosity, how much time do you spend, Ricky, specifically, like in a weekly basis, just on a weekly basis, prospecting, looking for your next listing, for your next client? Like if just on an average week, how much time do you think you're doing that? In other words, the next one, filling your funnel, prospecting.
The whole time. So I work, I don't know, 100 hours a week. So, how many ever hours I work a week? Because every single second is where's the next one coming from? Even when I'm in the deal, I'm actually furthering that relationship in order to do that next deal with that client, which may be in a year or two, or a referral tomorrow or in 10 years. But everything revolves around the next deal. Even the deals that are in place now that I follow up on, and I try to cater to everybody and make everybody happy and make sure that they know everything going on behind the scenes. The financing is going good, the inspection is going good, the appraisal is going good. All of that, in my mind, is to further the relationship of how I'm a hard worker and how they can trust me. I'm dependable. I'm doing everything I can for them. I'm just setting them up to love me forever so that I can reap those next, like I say, everybody's worth 10 to 20 deals to you over the life of your career. So
absolutely,
everything revolves around the next deal, whether it's in a year, 2 years, 10 years, whatever. And it just happens to be that closings are going on every single day. So if you approach the business like this, you're gonna run into some of these people that are doing all these deals now. See, everybody wants to ask me about, I need a deal now, Ricky. You're calling people for long-term relationships. What about right now? I got bills to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, are there closings happening every day in your market? Like in your MLS, was there closings today? Are there closings tomorrow? Were there closings 2 days ago? Every day there's closings. So the thing is, man, is where are these people coming from? Are you going to call 300 or 400 people and not run into anybody who's at least thinking about doing something right now? Do you think that you just by accident call all the people that want to do something in 10 years? It doesn't happen like that. You're going to call people that want to do stuff now. They're going to want to do stuff later. It's your job to filter through all the property owners in your area and find out, who likes you, like who likes you enough to do a deal with you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then once you find those people, it's like, okay, let's filter through those people. When do they want to do something with you? And so then you just kind of work through the list, helping everybody buy and sell. It's not rocket science.
No. I love that. We use different terminology, but I think we're on the same page in that this is not extremely complicated, but it isn't easy because it takes effort.
No,
right? It takes effort. So let's talk about something that I think a lot of people deal with. I mean, I read books, and you probably have too. I've seen books that were written 30 years ago, and there's books still being written about people that are scared to death of the phone and the person
Yeah,
on the other end. Like, what
yeah,
happens if I pick it up and
yeah,
they yell at me, or they
yeah.
hang up on me, or they tell me to F off? People are so afraid of that. What's your take on that?
I think if you guys go and watch the video where I made cold calls a couple weeks ago,
Yeah,
that you'll see what they want to buy or sell. There was probably maybe two people that hung up on me.
right.
I think there was a guy that the thing is
We're
Wayne Gretzky.
Southerners. We don't know about hockey.
Yeah, I do not watch hockey. I'll tell you that right now. Like, but Wayne Gretzky, like he nailed it, because here's the thing with phone calls, man. Like when you make a phone call, you have a chance. Even if you suck, there's a 1%, 2%, 3% chance that something's going to happen positive, right? Even if it's 99%, 98% maybe going to be negative, you're giving yourself that 2% chance for something positive to happen. Whereas if you don't make the call, you have zero chance. And so my thing is give yourself a chance. Give yourself a chance to succeed. It's like in my coaching program, the students that are in there that have never made calls, that come in and now they're telling me, I never made calls before I started following you. Now I'm making calls and I'm creating so many relationships and so many good things are happening. I'm getting listings, sales. It's all happening for me. And that's just how it is. Once you start making the calls, then you realize real quick, like after the first couple call sessions, you realize how big this is, and how quickly your business can grow exponentially when you make these calls. There's stages in phone calls, right? And everybody goes through the same exact stages. Nobody wanted to make phone calls when they first started making phone calls. Nobody. I didn't. Nobody did.
That's right.
So the people that come to me that are scared to make calls, it's like I have zero. I don't feel bad for them at all, right? Because this is exactly what you're like. It's natural for you to be scared. You're supposed to be scared. Okay, so that's the first stage, is being scared, right? So a lot of people get stuck right there, right? Top producers, they move through the different stages really quick. And I'm not just talking about cold calls. There's stages in everything.
That's right.
And so the top producers, they don't let any of the stages or any of the little roadblock blocks get in their way or stop them from proceeding forward and progressing, right? So the stages of phone calls is I'm scared, okay? But then the next stage is I'm scared, but I know I got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
The next stage is you make the calls, right? And then you make the calls, and you're like, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought, right? The next stage is, okay, cool, it's not as bad as I thought. Let me figure out what I'm supposed to be actually saying on these calls, right? And then once you get that down, now we're not scared. Now we're making the calls. Now we're saying the right things. Now we go to the next stage. How do we say it exactly? What's our tone? What's our objectives? What are we really trying to do, right? Then the next stage is reading people on the phone. So there's all these different stages, and it keeps going and going and going and going. I'm still learning stuff. Like I'm not at the top. There's still a lot of more stages for me to go through in these stages of phone calls. I'm at the place where I've made over 100,000 phone calls, and I'm still learning stuff all the time, because there's so many different angles, right? There's so many reasons to call people. There's so many like objectives and like reasons and why you're calling and what the underlying reasons are, and what you can do to think, certain things you can say to actually get them to tell you how you can help them and stuff like that. So I think to answer your question is for all the people out there that are scared to make calls and, or just have this big phobia of it, it's totally natural. You're supposed to feel that way, but you're supposed to bust right through that if you really want all this as bad as you say you do. Because if you're going to sit around and just say, I'm scared of the phone, I'm not going to make calls, then that's the stage you're going to get stuck in. And that's the only place you're ever going to be. You're just going to be sitting around saying, I'm scared to make calls. You're certainly not going to make any sales.
Yeah. Well, there's no doubt. And I think you made a lot of great points there. And one thing that I talk about all the time that relates to that is, the fear scared or that I have to somewhere in between there. I think it's super important that you can't lose what you don't have. So if you don't have that person's business now, taking no action is going to keep you right where you are. Congratulations, you're in the same place. The only way you can get their business is to take some form of action. And I think that, the idea that I have to know exactly what to say, or I need to know exactly what to do, or I've got to have a response or a script for everything, those are, to me, excuses. Because what you're doing is you're putting another barrier in front of you in that phone call because it sounds good. Well, I'll call tomorrow because I'm going to watch 30 hours of YouTube on what to say. When if you just pick up the phone and ask them a question, off you go. It's right. I mean, it's crazy. Your script, mine, most, they're all built around, look, Dale Carnegie. And then before that, you got to be interested in the other person. You got to figure out what their issue is and then tell them how you could solve it to build that relationship. So use, I don't know what to say as an excuse not to call, right? That's crazy because every day you wait, you're pushing off that closing you're talking about, right? If the real estate cycle is 30 days, 45, 60 to close, let's say you get under contract today, every day you wait, you're pushing that whole timeline back. And you're going to see more closings tick through your MLS that could have been you.
I think that people that just make those excuses, they're just making excuses, and they'll come up with another one, if you try to object that, they'll come up with another one.
Oh, sure.
People that make excuses, there are excuse makers out there, and that's very unfortunate because, to be honest, like for everybody listening, just so you know, there is no way to lose in real estate, right? The only way to lose is if you quit, or if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting something different to happen. Like everybody has the people's, like, your personality is your strength. Like everybody has a unique personality. Nobody connects with people like you do, right? You're unique. It's like a fingerprint. And like if you can harness your personality and realize that that's your strength and that's what you have over everybody else, right? The way that you connect with people, you're going to connect with a certain amount of people, period. And then the other realtor is going to connect with a different group of people, and the next realtor and the next realtor. Mm-hmm. And there's so much out there. Like there's plenty. There's not a shortage. Okay. There's not a shortage of deals. I've been coaching for a year now, right? And just free, right? YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, just coaching for free, telling my deepest, darkest, most strategical, just like my whole game plan, dude, is like out there.
Yep.
And for the agents in my market to go take it and run with it, right?
Yep. Uh-huh.
And I haven't lost a single client. There has not been a single client or agent that said, hey, nothing, right? Because it's so unlimited. And so I just want your viewers here to know that, like, real estate is such a win-win. You cannot lose. You just have to put in the work and just remember, conversation is the key to all closings. Whoever has the most conversations wins. If you make excuses based around not having those conversations, then it's because you decided you didn't want to put the work in, or the correct work, to make it happen. So, all those excuses, they don't get you anywhere. And if you're not going to just if this podcast right now doesn't just make you say boing and like a light bulb comes on your head and you're like, okay, I get it. I just need to have, 10 to 20 conversations with different property owners every single day and just put in the work to get to know these people, let them get to know me. You would be amazed. Like there's an unlimited, right? For every single realtor in every market, there's an unlimited amount of loyal clients that will never do business with any other agent ever in their life, ever, except for that one agent. It's unlimited for every single agent. The problem is that most agents just don't want to put the work in to find that unlimited amount of loyal clients, and like it's frustrating to me because I'm sitting here and I can't do it for you, but I know what it is. I'm doing it, like I keep my cup full, I'm over 70 deals this year so far, pending and closed, single agent. I'm having an off year, by the way. Our transactions are down,
We talked
but
about that. Yeah.
I'm still pushing, like I love it when things get tough. I love it when things tighten up. I mean, the closings don't stop. So just know it's unlimited. Put the work in to find the people that want to do business with you. It's 100% unlimited.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, look, by the way, Ricky and I are crossing into similar spaces. We both want to see you guys win and see you guys succeed. There's so many of you guys out there. We are trying. We are reaching out. We are doing this right here to try to reach as many of you guys as possible. Because if you're willing to put in the effort, then like the actual what to do will figure itself out over time. But you got to take action. Then you can track your action. Then you can refine what you're doing and get better. The best way I can put it for you, and the way it was described to me, is the way to grow, even if you're like brand new, is to do more. So like take more action or take some action at all, or increase your skill set. So like get better at it, right? And then if one's not doing the other, do more and you'll get more, and then get better at it and you'll be more efficient. But most people don't get off of either. So they never get the skills, or they never take the action, or the worst is all they do is suck up skills and read every book, but they never actually put it into play when the action's more important. The action's more important. And so if you haven't taken out your phone and made sure that you reach out to every single person that's in here about real estate, you're crazy. Like, what are they in your phone for? And you're going to be the first person that's going to be upset when your cousin or your friend goes and uses another agent, and you're going to be the one that's all frustrated, but you got to look back at yourself and go, well, that's my fault. Right? That's my fault.
Everything's your fault. I mean, like everything that happens comes back on you. I mean, that's just elementary. Like you have to take responsibility for your own everything that happens.
No doubt.
I mean, you got to do that first. That's got to be the first thing you do is, okay, everything's on me, right? That's one reason why I'm a single agent. I mean, I'm so into the fact that it's all on me. Like I'm so into that philosophy. I try to do a team. I'm just not the right personality to do a team, like a traditional team. I feel like I could build a pretty decent team now that I have a little more experience, but it's still not me. I'm just so into the, I'm responsible for it all. I think it's one big reason why, I have such a big business, because my clients know that it's me they're going to talk to when they call in. They know it's me that's going to show their uncle a house when they refer them to me. They know it's me that's going to be going through the inspection report with them. It's going to be me that's at the closing, the whole 9 yards. So responsibility for your actions and the outcomes is a big, big thing in this business. That you have to really that's like day number one, like I'm responsible for what happens here, and then go do, like you said, taking action. I really, like I don't, I get asked so many times about should I do this, should I do that, and every single question, it's like it doesn't matter. The answer doesn't matter. It could go. You could do either one, right? I don't care if you choose Follow Up Boss or Storm. Perfect Storm. I
Oh
don't care.
gosh, the CRM. Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care if you do postcards or letters. I don't care if you call expireds or circle prospect. I don't care if you door knock or do mailers. I don't care if you do this subdivision or that subdivision, or I can't even think of all the different questions I get,
Yep.
but it's like just do any of it, right? Do both. Like I mean, so just taking action, and like I think a big thing once you take the action, a big skill people need to have is like, what was the outcome of that action, and very quickly evaluating what was if that was an efficient action or not, and then either eliminating it from what you do from now on or doubling down on it because it was very efficient. I think that's huge.
Right. And the only way you can do that is to track, right? You've got to track when you're taking activity, what you're doing and your results. Far too often, it's like random acts of action and they got no idea. How many phone calls did you make? I don't know. Well, that's great. So we don't know if it works. You hear that all the time with people that buy leads, right? They tell you, oh, I bought all these leads from Zillow or Realtor.com, but they were garbage. And I go, well, how many did you get? I don't know. Well, how often did you contact them? And you can realize, well, there's no way for you to even know, because what was it, Ricky? They wanted it now. And if that lead came in and like a commission check didn't come flying out of the adapter of the phone, well, that lead must have been garbage, right? I mean, it's the only answer. So I agree with you 1,000%. And it's also funny because, marketing and advertising, which is something that I pay a lot of attention to, and it's something that I'm passionate about. One of the big things we discuss all the time is A/B testing, right? So out an email with two different subject lines, see which one resonates, and then double down on that one. So actually, when people are asking, should I do this or that? Why don't you do them both and see which one works? So actually, it's an excuse sometimes disguised as a question, because what they're telling themselves is, if I don't know exactly which one, I'm just not going to do it. It's really an excuse in disguise. And so what I want to see you guys do, a lot of these CRMs, by the way, since I get the CRM question all the time, most of them, a lot of them have free trials. Whatever. So you could get in there and use all of them and figure out which one you like. So it's kind of a limiting thing, because the only way you'll know what works and what doesn't is to have data, which means you got to take action and you got to track it. So, Ricky, we got some questions coming in through the comments. I see, and we're going to hit it. So real quick, for those of you guys that are on the screen, the stream, maybe that don't know me or maybe that don't know Ricky, real quick, my name is the Chris Donaldson, and I am talking to my friend and top agent. I call him a super agent in the great state of Alabama, Ricky Carruth. And we're talking about basically getting over your fear of the phone, picking up the phone, and figuring out how it is the secret to growing your business. And far too many of us won't do it, which means it's the secret weapon. So the feature that you use least on this device is probably the one that's going to bring you the most cash. So this is office hours. We do this show live. And so we want to get into the Q&A segment. So if you've got a question, if you're watching on Facebook, post it in the Facebook stream or in the event. If you're watching on YouTube, post your question in the comments. And if you're also on Twitter, use the hashtag office hours and we'll seek that out. So, Ricky, I've got a couple. We knew we were going to get to these. The number one question, it's pretty common, is where do you get the phone numbers for your cold calls? So I'm not calling people I know. I'm prospecting or otherwise. Where do you get the numbers, buddy? Take it away.
Let's see. I get leads that are actively looking, but I want to introduce myself to people and possibly build that relationship for when they are ready, like in my neighborhood. Okay, cool. So, Lynn, okay. there's several places, right? So when I first started in real estate and I was like, oh, I'm going to be the king of cold calls and stuff, I had to look this stuff up on white pages and like modern like the modern day Spokio, like Bigfoot.com. Like it took me like 8 hours to look up 100 numbers. It's crazy. Now you can just go click, click, click and get 500 numbers, 1,000 numbers, 100 numbers of property owners in a specific neighborhood, on a specific street, in a specific area. It's crazy, right? This is something that I'm so excited about in the industry, that they came out with this, where it made it so easy to locate phone numbers. And the technology is getting so good that a lot of them, there's some, probably, I would say maybe 20-30% are cell phone numbers, right? Which makes it even that much more attractive.
Absolutely.
There's a company called the RedX. RedX is my favorite. If you go to my website, let's see, you can go. I'll put a link somewhere where you can save.
We'll drop it in the show notes afterwards and in the stream for the folks so they can click it.
Anyway, on my YouTube channel, any of my YouTube videos, there's a link where you save the $150 startup fee, but you get the Geo Leads feature. Geo Leads, $50 a month. You can find up to 2,000 numbers a month. If you need more, just call them and they'll give them to you. 2,000 property owners of whatever subdivision, road, or whatever. It's Geo Leads on RedX, right? So, but there's also Cole Resources. There's also Mojo Neighborhood Search. There's also Vulcan 7, I believe. There's also Espresso Agent. Let's see. There's a couple of them, right? Now, I'll be honest with you. The RedX is such a higher quality than the other ones. The other ones will try to get you for a year up front because they know that it's garbage, and by the time you figure it out, they've already got you for a year. Seriously, seriously,
I believe you.
No, it's crazy. Like agents
whenever somebody's trying to get you for long term before you've even tried it, it's like a red flag for sure, right?
Another thing is they'll give you unlimited. Well, yeah, it's unlimited because it's like RedX is a little more expensive because they only give you 2,000, but it's for a reason, because they pay money for the better data. Like they pay money, so they can't give it unlimited because it costs them money. So I like the higher quality. But I'm not trying to sway you there. If you want unlimited and you just want to go on triple dialer and just call your little heart out, go for it. Like I'm all about it. It doesn't matter. But there are several resources where you can plug in and navigate through Cole Resources, Mojo Neighborhood Search, RedX Geo Leads, Espresso Agent, Vulcan, where you can find these phone numbers with the click of a mouse. And then most of those I just mentioned have a dialer also. Yep. Where you can dial the numbers right from there and just go to town. If you guys should go to my YouTube if you haven't and watch the video of me making cold calls.
Yeah, I'll put up your YouTube channel here in a second.
and also, I'm actually going live next week. For the people watching live, I guess this will probably come on after for everybody else. But I'm making live cold calls next Friday, 4:00 Central on YouTube. So I haven't decided who I'm going to call. I don't know if I'm going to call. I think I'm going to do something other than circle prospecting because that's been my thing. So I think I might do for sale by owners or expireds. I may even do follow-up buyer leads, or I'm kind of taking a survey from a lot of agents right now through email, and I'm going to post something in the group in the next couple of days to just kind of see what people want to see. But I'm going to end up doing live calls for all the different kind of calls for sale by owners, expireds, internet leads, follow-ups, past clients, just so I could have a different, just a full, library of videos of all the different kinds of calls.
Just be careful if you're going to do expireds, that there's not one of those classes going where everybody's calling them all too. So where you're caught in the middle at the same time, just make sure you know what's going on. Awareness is extremely important on top of phone calls. What's interesting though, I want y'all to notice, guys out there, I'm kind of making silly jokes with Ricky. I want y'all to notice something. You notice how He's like, I'm going to call a whole bunch of freaking people. I'm just trying to figure out who it's going to be. But you notice at some point he's going to decide and he's going to make the calls. Most people get stuck on that part, which is who am I going to call?
Yeah.
When am I going to call them? And
Yeah.
all of that. Notice he's got all these different options. And if you don't know where to start, you start your phone at A and just work your way down. I mean, if it's Aunt May at the beginning, hopefully she'll be happy to hear from you, right?
Yeah.
So it'll be all good. But I also want you guys to notice that when he's doing that on YouTube, and it's something that we talk about a lot, he's doing it to show you guys that it's not that hard. He's trying to inspire y'all. I've seen him do it. Again, it's something that with YouTube now, we can do that instead of in front of training rooms like we've been doing. But also notice something extremely important. That is, he's asking you, and then he's going to do that. And I think far too often we try to tell our clients and tell the customers what we think they need to know, rather than why don't you start asking or thinking about what sellers and buyers logically have an issue with, want to know from you, right? You should be prepared for that stuff because it's the same thing over and over and over again. Like, you get through that wall, you make the call, you get them to talk to you, you know what a seller wants to know. So you got to be prepared for that. So if you got to know your market, you got to be prepared when you get these people. You got to have a system that you're going to dump their email address. I mean, all these various things, but just doing it. So I just wanted to point that out because I think that's huge. All those different options are awesome. And I bet you're going to track it and you're going to go back to what works. If you called on Friday morning and it was your buyer leads and you were killing it, well, shoot, I'm going to do that again next week. Right.
Yeah.
But there's only one way to know that. And that's to take action. So I love that. By the way, if you want to learn how to kill it, Ricky's YouTube channel and office hours here, everything that me and him are doing is because we want you guys to make it. And because me and him are almost the same age, Ricky's a little bit older, a little bit wiser, but mainly the biggest thing I want you guys to understand is there's a gap out there, and there's a gap between the top agents and everybody else. And what we are doing here, and we're doing it in our own way in different arenas, is that we are trying to break down the barrier from the information for that chunk that I think, and Ricky, I think you would agree, is getting left behind. So we say there's the 80-20 rule. There's 20% that do 80%. Well, it's way worse than that. But what I will tell you is if you look at the stats, there's like 1% of the agents doing most of the business in most markets. So we're here for the 19% of you that actually really want to make it and are willing to do the work. And the information's out there. So you get on YouTube, you can live on Ricky's channel. You could live on my channel. Guys, you could get the PhD on what to do. So I'm just going to keep reiterating that. And I'm going to keep beating it up because we're going to get tactical with you. But if you don't do it, it doesn't matter. And I think that's huge. I mean, just to give you a statistic, by the way, and I've got a question for you, Ricky. Number one, I've seen a lot of people ask you this, but I want your opinion. You get their voicemail. You leave a voicemail?
Yeah. Do I leave a voicemail?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You do? Okay. Because a lot of people are curious about that. Some people say, don't leave a voicemail. I'm like, well, okay, good job. I mean, what's the harm in it, I guess? And the second thing is, if you leave a voicemail or you're calling, you're using these dialers, however you're doing it, how often are you willing to call somebody before you'll stop?
You know, that the voicemail thing that is the most, I get asked that more than anything. Do I leave a voicemail? What do I leave?
I trolled your YouTube to figure out what people are asking you. I know where I'm coming from.
It's like, there again, Chris, it's like, leave it or don't leave it. It doesn't matter, really, to be honest with you. But the way I view it is I'm using a voicemail as a brand builder. I'm using it as a piece of marketing information. I'm using it to spread my name a little deeper into the community and throughout the property owners in the area. So and when I leave a voicemail, I'm just saying, hey, this is Ricky Carruth, Remax of Orange Beach, whatever, house sold or this or that or whatever. I sold something or whatever. Give me a call back when you get a chance. My number. Have a good day. Talk to you soon. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not expecting them to call me back. I am expecting them to listen to the voicemail and hear my name, and that I'm with Remax, and that I'm selling stuff, and that what my phone number is. And maybe they will call me back. Every once in a while they do. But they definitely heard my name. If I don't leave the voicemail, I see the other side of it. You don't leave a voicemail, the people are curious, who was that? So they call back, right? I think that's the strategy there. I mean, that's the strategy I've heard, is don't leave the voicemail, so that it gives them a reason to call back and see who it is. So there's a bunch of different schools of thought on it, but I would rather, I would rather, leave a voicemail. Yeah, maybe I'm doing it wrong, right?
Right.
Made 1.5 in the last 18 months.
Yeah.
So I don't really, it goes back to, there's no right or wrong way, quit asking me about the voicemail and just either leave one or not, because either way you're a winner. But the winner is the fact that you got to the point where you had to leave a voicemail, like you actually made the calls, and trying to get too technical in, should I do this or that? I think try everything. Take a session where you leave voicemails. The next day, do a session where you don't leave voicemails. The next session, do a session where you leave voicemails, and do that, back and forth for 2 weeks. And then, like you said, track it and see, okay, when I left a voicemail, this is what happened. When I didn't leave a voicemail, this is what happened. And make a decision for yourself, because there's no right or wrong answer, because in different markets, like next year will be different than this year.
Yep.
People may return calls that they didn't get voicemails from this year, but not next year. So I can't tell you what's going to work universally, number one, because the market's always changing. It's like I used to write these letters that worked like a charm, dude. I would get 10% of people call me back on these letters. But not this year. I've sent out hundreds of them and I got a couple calls, probably 1,000 of them, and just probably got like 5 or 6 calls. It's crazy. But they used to work like a charm. So the universal stuff doesn't necessarily, your market can change, the mood in the market, and also different geographical locations. People are different, like people in California may respond differently to voicemails or not leaving voicemails than they do in South Carolina, So I think testing stuff out, adapting, figuring out what works, is the best policy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that. So if somebody's like, if that literally is like a concern of yours, split your list down the middle. Half of them leave a voicemail, half of them don't. Give me the data on the results, and let's talk about what works. I'll actually give you guys a tip when you've got, I wouldn't say that this will work for cold calls, but maybe it would, but definitely for warm leads and calls. And I learned this. I got to give credit to Chris Smith and the guys over at Curator. It's called the double dial, and this thing is killer. It works for me. The double dial is super simple. You call Ricky, it goes to his voicemail, and then I immediately call him right back. For some reason, that second call coming in, somebody's more likely to go, this might be important, or I probably need to take this. There's some psychological reason where rather than getting hung up and moving on, you call them right back, they're more likely to pick up the phone. And he calls it a double dial. I love it. People do it to us in customer service all the time, and it works because maybe somebody was on the other line and then you call right back and they're not. But look, let's be honest. You're going to be able to split your call list half and half between voicemails and not, because half the people you call are going to be millennials that don't have their voicemail set up anyway. So you're not going to have the option to leave a voicemail because they don't even have it on their damn cell phone.
That's true. That's true.
I'm not even worried about it.
I didn't answer that second part of the question you had there, as far as how many times I'm going to call them back if they don't answer.
Exactly.
Do
you have a system?
What's that?
I said, do you have a system or a hard number? Or
I do. I have one. I call them once, and that is it.
Interesting.
Yes, I don't call them again.
And this is
Um,
cold, or is this at all stages?
Cold.
Okay, cold,
Well,
right.
yeah, no, like it depends. Like if it's cold, I'm just calling that building, that subdivision. I'm getting what I can. I'm creating the relationships I can, and then I'm moving on. My theory is that if they didn't answer, they're a notorious non-answer.
Uh-huh.
And if I'm going to waste another dial that I could call somebody who might actually answer on them, right? And so what happens is if I'm accumulating a list of people who don't answer, and I'm trying to call these people, like you may get a couple, but the notorious non-answerers is just going to be the numbers are not there
That's
to
right.
continue pounding that away. So why would I waste those valuable hours calling? I only have so many hours to call in my life.
That's
Do
right.
I really want to waste those hours on people who don't answer, or do I want to start with a fresh list? So like when I follow up, when I have somebody who's ready to buy or sell in the near future or whatever, yeah, I'm going to be calling them, following up, past clients, I'll call them, but when it's cold, I'm kind of like on to the next subdivision. I'm only going to call you once. I may call you again in 5 years. By then it's, 40% new owners in there and I'm getting a fresh new list anyway. It's just like calling a brand
Right.
new list anyway. And the other 60% didn't remember I called anyway. They don't even remember next week I called.
That's
So
right. That's right.
I really think this is part of like the puzzle of how I got where I am
Yeah.
because I'm so forward moving. I
Yep.
just can't go back. I just can't go back there and try to call somebody who didn't answer, hoping that they will when I could be using that same time to call somebody who probably will answer, you
That's right.
know? I don't know, man. It's just one of my things.
No, absolutely. And I think that I like asking these questions and exploring them because there's no absolute one way or the other. And
No.
because in your market, you're dealing with different types of folks than somebody in another market. And you know what? You may call them, and then when you hit them with the email with the second touch, that's the one that works. I mean, you don't know, but that's what I think I want everybody to take from Ricky's approach. It's like he's building a roof, dude, one nail at a time, boom. Then he moves on to the next one, boom. Then he moves on to the next one, right? He's the hammer, man, and he's not going to stop. And he doesn't worry about what works or doesn't work, other than he's going to keep on going forward. And I think that you guys, we could all learn from that. And I mean, just to give you statistics, by the way, let's take it out of real estate, just talk sales in general. In the data I'm looking at for 2018 from HubSpot, it takes an average of 18 calls to connect with a cold buyer if you're selling them a product. Now, that's if you have a product that you're trying to sell them. See, I think where people get lost in real estate is that we forget that if you call someone and they're not going to use you or they don't have a need for you, whatever, it doesn't mean no, it means not right now. And I think people get that twisted because real estate's a different deal. I don't have a widget I'm trying to get you to buy, right? And put you through this whole sales diagram. I'm trying to be there at the moment of truth when you are going to buy or sell, which is why consistent effort is a consistent theme that you're going to hear again and again and again. So, real quick, well, I want to get into scripts, Ricky, because I know there's people that want to know what to say when you actually get them on the phone. So, real quick, if you guys are out there watching on Facebook, if you're out there watching on YouTube, do me a favor, give us a like, give us a heart, give us a wow emoji, give us something, because we're here with you in prime time, laying it on the line after both of us have worked all day long. So make sure, if not for me, for Ricky, that you let us know that you appreciate his time and what he's given to you, because he 100% does not have to do this. And actually, office hours is a side project. I don't have to do it either, but we both care about people. And I think that's something that we're all in this together. Okay. So let's talk about the obvious question, because it was the number one answer to the poll in the event here. So thank you guys for voting so that we can get to it. And that's, what do I say? So I got over my fear. I got off the starting line. I picked up the phone and oh shit, you actually answered. Now take it from there.
Hey, Mr. Donaldson.
Yeah,
Hey, Mr. Donaldson. This is Ricky Carruth down at Remax of Orange Beach. How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. Wait, where'd you say you're calling from again?
This is Ricky Carruth down at Remax of Orange Beach.
Okay, yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, good, good. Yeah, man, me too. I'm just enjoying the day. Isn't it gorgeous out there?
Yeah, man, it was hot, hot. Yeah, it's getting to that time of year.
It's a scorcher out there, man. Look, I don't want to take up too much of your time today, but a house down the road just sold from
Mhm.
you, and I didn't know if there's anything in the world I could do for you today.
I don't think at this time we're not interested in selling our house, but I did see that one. What did it sell for?
400.
400. Wow, that's interesting. Um, no, I don't think so. Not at this time, man. But I appreciate your call, but I'll keep you in mind in the future.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Look, is there an agent in the area that you would work with if you were to buy or sell something?
Nah, not really, man. I can't think of anybody.
Cool, cool. Well, look, I'm sure at some point you're going to want to do something. I would love the opportunity to work with you when that day comes. Would it be all right if I stayed in touch with you?
Absolutely. Sure.
Cool. What's your email?
All right. Here's my email, Chris@christalks.com.
Cool, man. Well, look, I don't know what you're doing here in the next couple of days. If you got time to catch a quick lunch or something and meet, hang out for a minute, I'd love to get you lunch.
Cool. I appreciate that. I'll let me get back to you on that. I'm at work and I got to run. But Ricky, good talking to you, man. I look forward
Cool.
to keeping in touch.
Yeah. I'll email you, man. I'll be in touch with you. Have a good day.
Thanks. Yeah, there you go. How hard was that, right? I mean, so what's the pattern there, by the way? So what's the pattern?
Yeah, let me dive in. So
And
there's
I've got
two
his
questions.
secret pattern right here, which is not so secret, which I'll show you in a second.
There's two questions in the beginning, right? There's how are you doing, and there's isn't it gorgeous? Or like, okay, tone of the voice is very important, right? You want that tone as if you were talking to a family member. Very relaxed, very calming, right? Hey, Mr. Donaldson. Hey, Mr. Donaldson. This is Ricky Carruth down at Remax of Orange Beach. How you doing today? Happy sounding, right? And then it's like that. How are you doing today? That gives them a chance to react, tell you how they're doing, but you're using that to read them. You want to read how they're actually doing. What's going on with them? Are they busy, glad, mad, sad? What's going on, right? Then you're going to throw them off because now they're expecting, here comes the sales part of the call. He's a realtor. He's about to ask me if I want to sell my house. And then you're going to say something off the wall like, hey, I'm doing good too. I'm enjoying the day. Isn't it gorgeous? Right? I love the weather. I love talking about the weather right there because it throws them off, it loosens them up, and it puts them. It just everybody can relate to the weather, right? Everybody relates because the weather is the weather. You're there, right?
It's classic small talk 101, right? I mean,
right. So yeah, and here's the thing: people they can't get into a lot of people. They just kind of skip. A lot of people that do my scripts, they do it, but they skip the weather part, and that's a big mistake because when they go straight from how are you doing to straight into the sales thing, it sounds way too scripted. It sounds way too salesy, and it sounds way too much like every other agent out there. This script is designed to separate you from all the other agents by making it about them and making it not about selling their house, about making it, not about real estate for the most part, right?
That's it.
So the weather part, though, I want to clarify that could be anything. It's just something. It could be, hey, how was your New Year? It could be, hey, you getting ready for Thanksgiving? It could be, hey, did you have a good weekend? It can be something in the news. It can be anything, right? Like sometimes when I'm making calls, something's going on. Like one time there was this crazy guy that was on crystal meth that was running around. I think he shot a cop or something, and he was on the loose. His name was like Billy Boyette or something like that. And then there was like this hurricane that came through. It was like a really small hurricane, and like the week after, everything I like my little small talk was. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing good. I'm like, how you doing today? Like, I'm doing good. I'm like, yeah, me too, man. Between the hurricane and Billy Boyette, man, I don't know what to do. and they would laugh their ass off, because that was like a serious thing going on. Billy Boyette was caught by then, by the way. So it was a serious thing going on, but the way I said it was funny, and it was had something to do with recent events, right?
Right.
And like one time after Thanksgiving, I like the whole week after Thanksgiving, the thing I used was, hey, yeah, how are you doing? Good, good. Yeah, me too. I just, we had a really good Thanksgiving. We went and seen all the family. I had 3 Thanksgivings, and then like I just ate so much, and then at the end of it, it just wouldn't stop, man. Everybody wanted to give me the leftovers, so there it was again the next day: turkey, ham, dressing, and it was a funny thing. So it's like you use whatever's going on at the time, and if you don't have anything, use the weather, because everybody relates to it. It gets people talking. You'll be amazed. Like when you said, "Oh, it's hot out there," that's really what people say. They start talking about the weather and what it's going to do tomorrow and stuff. It's amazing. I want to emphasize the fact of how important that second question is, and you're still reading them. You're still in the reading them phase. What's going on with them? Mm-hmm. Then as soon as we get to the awkward part of the call, where that part's over and you don't know what to do, you go to the transition I love, which is, I got you. Well, look, I don't want to take up too much of your time today, but a house down the road sold. I didn't know if there's anything in the world I could do for you, right? There is basically telling you respect their time. And now we're going to give them some market information. Now, the market information could be anything. A house listed, a house sold. I sold something. I just put something under contract. Something just went under contract. It doesn't have to be your listing or sale. It can be anything. For sale by owner, another agent. You're not really giving any specifics. See, right here's where a lot of people shouldn't go into the address. Like a house at 1234 Main Street just sold for da-da-da-da. They didn't ask you for that information. You want everything to be short and sweet. And then if they ask you for more information, then tell them the details. So we just want to say, hey, don't want to take up too much of your time, but a house down the road sold from you. Didn't know if there's anything in the world I could do for you. Short, sweet. It's a question. And now we let them talk. Then they're either going to say yes or no. If they say yes, we're going to have the same response to either answer. If they say yes, it's like, okay, cool. Is there an agent helping you with that? If they say no, it's like, okay, I got you. Well, look, is there an agent in the area you would work with? Right? Either way it goes, you're going to find out, is there a relationship in place with an agent, already? Or is the door open for you to be that agent that they have a relationship with? Right? So we're establishing all of this in the first conversation. It's amazing how this one conversation turns into lifelong relationships. It really is like the holy grail, dude, of phone scripts. And then we're not even asking them if they want to buy or sell, dude. We're asking them if there's anything in the world we can do for them. It's nuts, man. Like how I just smoothly come in there and just make all their dreams come true. And so then once I find out they do or don't have an agent, it's like, well, look, I mean, you don't have an agent. I'm sure you're going to want to do something in the future. I would love the opportunity to work with you. Would it be okay if I stayed in touch with you? And at this point, they are not feeling threatened by you. You haven't asked for anything personal or any private information. They're probably thinking that you're going to call them from time to time. So they're like, yeah. And then after they tell you it's okay and give you permission, then ask for the email address. You know what I'm saying? So it's really laid out from start to finish to read them, respect their time, give them market info, not sell them, find out if they have a relationship already, and get their email address so that you can follow up, and stay relevant to them through email for the rest of their life, and hopefully build that brand through your email where they eventually call you when they're ready to buy or sell, unless you might follow up with them every, 6 months or a year or, 2 years or whatever your cycle is. So that's the phone script.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I put up, guys, if you want to download that, you can go to Ricky's website. I've put it up there on the screen at zerotodiamond.com. I think that whether
actually go to zerotodiamond.com/script.
Gotcha.
And that'll take you straight to the place where you can download the entire, not just the script, but the script and my entire system, how I do everything with my weekly email and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, no, and I've looked at it, guys, and it's good. I mean, it's really good. It works. Obviously, look at his track record, and I think that the biggest thing you will notice is that number one, he has a plan before he makes the call, right? He actually knows his market, so he'll have something to talk about. So he's actually an expert. But the real key there is he's going to ask questions and disarm the person to build rapport and then get to his objective. And it's one of the biggest issues that people have when they're doing anything in a sales arena or prospecting. Number one is not asking enough disarming, harmless, but important questions. Or number two, not listening. Right? Because if you listen to the other person and you can tell she's a mom, she's got 3 kids in her arm, she's clearly busy, she immediately regrets answering that call. You might just want to say, I'm sorry, am I catching you at a bad time? Would you like me to call you back? What if she says yes? Then do it. Sometimes you can just tell. And it's amazing. It's funny. If you ask somebody how they're doing and then you just pause and you let them, how many people will just, you ever hear, they're like, oh man, that guy told me his life story. Well, yeah, he's so happy somebody was genuinely interested. And then if you actually listen, you could build rapport and a real relationship. So the secret here, I think, and Ricky, correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's a systematic approach to build real relationships. This isn't fake stuff. Right?
Yeah.
Because human beings are human beings most of the time.
When you get an email address this way, it's real. It's not a buyer lead that never called you back or didn't answer anything. It's a real person who volunteered their email address to you. Now, what I would have to say to people who are worried about people getting mad or hanging up, listen to the phone script and listen to the objective and listen to what we're really trying to do, right? The main question is, what in the world can I do for you today, right? So when I feel so strongly about the fact that I'm actually here to help you and I'll do anything in the world for you, I kind of become combative. You'll hear in that video, you'll hear I hung up on somebody. like I hung up on a person because she was acting a little sideways with me, and I was like, okay, see you later, click, because I'm so into my mission of helping people that when somebody comes to me and is like, why are you calling? I'm like, well, I'm calling to see if there's anything in the world I could do for you, right? This, and this, and I want to know if there's something I can do to help you, and like when people, and I get it, you're calling them, they don't know you. And so they probably get telemarketers who try to sell them stuff and all that cliche stuff or whatever. But it's like an argument almost to me that I'm there to help. And if they want to throw down, and let's start arguing about why I'm calling and what I'm there to do, and that my intentions are pure, and that I really am there for them and not me, then let's go. Like I'm ready to throw down with somebody on the phone over something like that because I feel so strongly about it.
What are you really selling?
I'm not selling anything.
Right. But you're building a relationship and it's about you. Ricky, you believe in you, don't you?
Right. That's at the end of the day, it is the belief that you have confidence in what you're really there to do. Are your intentions pure? Are you there to actually help them? Or are you just trying to do a deal today? Because if you're just trying to do a deal today, then I can see why you might be a little bit scared because you're just trying to do a deal. But when you're there for the right reasons, which is to see what you can do to help them, short or long term or never, then you have this whole different attitude of this whole different sense of confidence about you when you're there for the right reasons. I think that's a big thing that's wrong with mainstream training. And you guys will see in some of my videos, the coaching scam videos, the what not to say videos, the more and more videos to come about this subject of the mainstream coaching that's out there that teaches you to handle objections, teaches you to go after the deal, teaches you to, get the contract signed. All the different, weird things that people are actually paying money to learn. And it's hurting your business so much because you're losing. If you call 100 people and you lose 3 of those people because you were a little too high pressure, or you weren't really communicating who you really are, somebody who wants to help them, then that's 3 people who each person is worth 10 to 20 deals to you. So you just lost a potential 30 to 60 deals over the life of your career because you're a little too high pressure. Now, on the flip side, you may lose people from being too low pressure too, right? You're not going to win everybody, but where's the balance of winning most people, right? That's where I want to be. I'm not going to win everybody, but I want to be in a position to win most people over,
That's right.
So
There's certain people that you're never, ever, ever going to get their business, but you won't know that until you try, right? Your timing's bad, and their sister gets their license, or I'm a huge Saints fan and they're a Falcons fan, and they're never doing business with a Saints fan, right? Like, there's certain things you just can't overcome, and you can't worry about that because who you are, if your intentions
dude,
are
never tell anyone what football team you like. If you're showing property and you walk into a property and there's a Saints helmet on the thing, just shut your mouth and just act like you didn't see it, because you don't. Next thing you know, they're a Falcons fan and this deal is over with, dude. They're changing realtors today.
100%. People are weird about
real.
that stuff. Oh, football is real, especially in the South, right? Soccer is real. Watch out for soccer. I don't know it, but be careful with that. When I was traveling in Spain, I learned the difference between Madrid and Barcelona, and that is a real thing. And those 2 football clubs, their fans do not like each other, even though they're both from Spain. But I think that those are other tricks, and those are other important things. Don't talk politics if you can avoid it, because people are so polarized.
Yeah.
And what does that have to do with you and me and helping each other, right? And nothing. But it'll instantly turn people on or turn people off. We see that on Facebook all the time. But look, a couple of other things. Guys, we've gone almost an hour and a half here, so thank you for sticking it out. Our viewers keep going up, Ricky, if you can see that. So thank you guys. And look, we'll stay. If you've got a question, we'll stick it around for a few more minutes, but make sure you get your question in there. It's funny. The lunch thing, Ricky, I've gotten this on YouTube and Facebook. So let me say this. People are like, do you actually go eat lunch with people if they say yes? Or what happens if you buy them lunch and they don't do business for a while? There's various versions of this question. So what would you have done if I was like, yeah, dude, let's go grab lunch tomorrow?
Oh, well, we're there. I mean, I'm at what time, where you want to be, like, what's your favorite place, whatever the thing. And here's the thing about the lunch part, right? Like, I don't do that every call. I'm only doing that if I feel like there's a connection and I feel really, really comfortable. We had such a good call. Everything went right. And I'm like, you know what? This sounds like it might go somewhere. I'm going to ask him to lunch, and see if I can't meet face to face. See, because when you have that call and it's so great, and then you have a lunch right soon after, that week or whatever. And now they're really getting to know you. You showed up to the lunch on time. You look professional, right? You sound professional. You're calm. You brought a little market information with you. There's now they're really seeing the entire, spectrum of Ricky. Now they're really understanding, okay, yeah, this is a guy I can do business with. So absolutely, man. Like, if I could have lunch with a client every day, I would.
Yeah.
And I probably could if I really pushed it, but lunches are a big thing. Another big thing is I like to throw out free lunches. Like I'll put it in my weekly report that goes out to 10,000 people that, 2,500 of them open it up every week. I've been going out for 11 years. Every once in a while, I'll put in there, free lunch on me. Let me know when you're coming down, or let me know when you want to meet, or whatever, and I'll do 30 lunches over a 2 or 3 month period off of that email. Any FaceTime you can get in front of a client is time well spent. So 100%. Absolutely.
Dude,
100%.
no doubt. If you look, the best book title, and I'm not sure if you read it, but probably is Never Eat Alone. And the reason for that is, let's say you work 5 days a week. If you ate lunch with a different prospect, client, referral, potential client, customer, prospect, lead, whatever, 5 days a week, guys, you would have more transactions than you would know what to do with. Like you're thinking about that $10 or $15 lunch. It's that personal time. You can't beat it. And there's something about the word free and lunch that gets people's attention. So
especially where I'm at, dude. I'm on the beach, like seafood. There's plenty of seafood places that people love to go to. So it works out good for me. But I keep a desk full of gift certificates to a seafood restaurant around here, $20, and I pass them out like candy every time I meet a buyer or seller, even if I don't know they're going to buy, or if they might, like I don't care if they're going to buy or not. I'm giving them that gift card. And so that they know that I care. I'm trying to bring them any kind of value that I possibly can, so.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that, again, you're looking long-term and not short-term. These are long-term relationship building. Look, put it to the test. I mean, when I train our customer service staff here at the school, and guys, if y'all are past Donaldson students, current Donaldson students, or will be, if you call our customer service staff and you've got a question that's not directly related to what we do, our staff isn't going to hang up on you. So if you're looking for directions to something and we just happen to be the number that you called, or maybe we've earned you trust and that will help you, guys, we are here for the relationship, for all of the things that we can do to work together. And I think that mindset, if you're thinking about, well, what if I take Chris to lunch and he doesn't do business with me? You have already made yourself an excuse. You've built in an objection that's not even there. The relationship that's built is so much more powerful. I was telling a story at our company meeting the other morning, Ricky, and we just had a broker that did some stuff with us. We're really proud of them. They're having a lot of success. And I actually scrolled up on the Facebook message and realized just in the Facebook message that I could find, there were 4 years worth of either just happy birthday, checking in with them. They had asked me 2 real estate questions that I answered for them to help them. That's a long-term relationship that I've been building, because it's not like the first time I talked to her, hey, if she doesn't sign up or do business, then this is over. Guys, you got to be looking for those relationships over the transactions. That is the key. You got to look further than right here. It's hard to do. It's hard to do, but you got to have a long-term view on everything that you're doing, which includes something as simple as lunch, as simple as a phone call, as simple as an email, all these things. Because it's not always going to happen right now. And plus, think about what happens when your phone rings. In 24 hours in a day, you're not always available. You're not always in a good mood. Sometimes you're having a bad day. I might call you today and you're having the worst day ever. I call you tomorrow, you're doing great. Sometimes it's just luck of the draw. That's where the math comes in, the numbers come in, the effort comes in. So, we believe in a lot of the same things. Again, guys, if I want to make sure, Ricky, if they're going to get your script one more time, what's the easiest way for them to get that phone script? And I've got it right here. It's great, by the way.
02diamond.com/script.
Beautiful. And guys, if you're new to my show for the first time ever, inspired by Ricky, I'm going to, in the office hours email. So if you're not on the office hours email list, it's really simple. Just go to thechrisdonaldson.com, stick your email address in there, and you will see that you will know when we're doing live broadcasts like this. But for the first time ever, here's a script that I'm going to give to you, but only if you're on the email list. And that is my script when you're sitting in front of a seller, what to do when they ask you the big, scary questions. So what are you going to do if you're a brand new agent and they ask you straight up if you're a brand new agent? I've got a script on exactly how to answer that. What if they ask you, well, if you're relatively new to the business, how are you going to help us more than we could do it ourselves? the classic questions that you need to be prepared for, or are afraid that seller is going to ask. Guys, I'm going to give it to you. Look at it. Here's the script. It's exactly what to say. It is exactly how to answer it. And it works in spades because I've tested it, because I started this when I was new, and I'm sitting in front of people and going, oh man, what if they ask me if I'm new, when I am new? What do I do? Am I going to freak out? Am I going to sweat? There's a way to handle that. But Ricky, one thing I'll ask you kind of as we get closer to close is the first time you use your script shouldn't be actually with a live client or a customer, right? You ought to practice it beforehand so it's smooth, even if it's just talking to yourself in the mirror, talking to your dog, calling a friend. I mean, did you ever practice, or did you just dive right in? And I'm talking when you first started, man, not now, right?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, man, I practiced on people.
Mm-hmm.
Like I made the calls. Like I didn't role play. I never role played.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you know, like I felt like I was wasting time role playing. It's like, to me, role playing, you know, like the only way to really get it is to get in a real situation.
Yeah.
And so here's my thoughts. Everything is a practice run. Like for example, if you have 500 followers on Instagram and then you're going to get to 5,000, right? All the posts that you're doing today don't really matter to those other 4,500 people that are going to follow you in the next year, because they're not following you now. And so you can practice right now, right? And then once you get up to that 5,000, now, by then you're better.
That's right.
Same thing with phone calls. The first 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people that you call, doesn't really matter too much, because if you're going to do what you say you're going to do, and you're going to be the number one agent in your area, you're going to call tens of thousands of people in your career.
Yep.
I've made over 100,000 calls. And so I think the first, 1,000 calls is just a practice run to figure it all out. If you get a couple deals out of it, great, right? But you got to get in there and make those calls. You're never going to get it perfect. Like it's never going to be just right. Get in there, make the calls, and practice on real live people. Yep. I think that's the best way to do it, is to practice on real live people. I never got into the role playing stuff. I just felt like I was wasting time, but that may not be the best thing to coach. It may be good to say, hey guys, go do some role playing, practice in the mirror, do whatever you want to do. I definitely think look it over, read it, make sure you understand what I'm saying, watch me make some calls, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, man, do not make the excuse that I was role playing. I didn't have time to call because I was trying to get my script down just right. You know what I mean? I've heard that before,
Yeah, for sure. Well, but I think that for the listeners out there, for those of you that are watching, me and Ricky might disagree a little bit, but I think we need to delineate something that's very important. There is a difference between being on the phone and being in person. And if you're sitting in front of somebody and you've got a bunch of stuff that you're going to say, that you're going to do, and you have never given that presentation before, you have never said these words before, you have never even run through it before, well, that person in front of you is not going to follow the script, even if you know the script. So you kind of have to be understanding the give and take of the relationship, the conversation. If you sit there and they ask you a question, you're like, and you freeze up in front of them, it's one thing. If you freeze up on the phone, you can press mute and freak out and still get back to them. So I think, Ricky, there's a difference between in person and on the phone as to probably the level of practice. But I think in the arena is better than practice, because that could be just another excuse to stay out of the playing field, which we definitely don't want to do.
Another excuse is what time do we call? Do we call in the afternoon? Do we call in the mornings? Do we call on the weekends? Do we call at midnight? When do we call, Ricky? When's the best time to call? I get it so much. And really, it doesn't matter, because I call between 9 and 12 because that's when my mind is the sharpest. That's when I feel like I'm on point. That's when I'm on top of my game. That's when I'm making it happen. I'm making them laugh. I'm engaging. It's like that's the best Ricky they're going to get. Whereas you start to become mentally fatigued after lunch, right? But a lot of people have a lot of success calling after hours. 5 o'clock, after 5 and 6 on the weekends, they get a better pickup rate. Whoop de doo. So I think people have success calling after hours and on weekends, and I think I've had a lot of success calling between 9 and 12. So what does that tell you? That it doesn't matter when you call, right? Just make the calls.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's certainly, you could data yourself to death. I mean, I've got data, I research it,
Yeah,
I've got a whole
yeah,
bunch here.
yeah,
You can do that. Great. And if you have super limited amounts of time, then maybe you've got to be as efficient as possible. And maybe some of that data will work for you. But for instance, there's two things here. Number one, why do we do office hours at 8 p.m.? Ricky actually asked me beforehand because the data suggests that you guys that are subscribers on YouTube, that are on Facebook and Instagram, your usage spikes around 7:45 to 9 o'clock at night. So I would want to be here when you're most likely to be on social. And so there is some truth to that, but I've done office hours at noon. I've done it on Thursdays. I've done it in the mornings. The point is I reach different people. Don't get caught up in that. I think that's a great point. That's tactics over doing again, right?
yeah.
It's another strategy over just getting out there and doing it. So I'm with you on that, and look, Ricky, you're pretty sharp for 9 o'clock at night, dude. You're doing all right.
But I'm even sharper in the morning. See, that's the thing. Yeah, of course, I'm a sharp guy, all that stuff. But I'm telling you, in the morning, and also it's kind of like the Brian Tracy eat the frog deal. Like you want to knock out your scariest, the thing that you dread the most. You want to knock that out immediately. Because if you don't, you'll start procrastinating. You'll start coming up with reasons not to do it. And you'll just continue down that road of not doing it. Whereas if you come in there and knock it out, get it done, you're going to feel good the rest of the day. You've accomplished your big task, the thing that really matters, right? And then everything else is just icing on the cake. So there's a lot of different reasons why I do it in the morning,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And look, I'm a morning person too. That's when I do a lot of my best work. That's the way I feel. But night owls out there, afternoon folks, look, whatever your prime is, the point is it doesn't matter. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
So look, Ricky, it's been an hour and a half. I cannot possibly feel good about asking you for more of your time. It looks like we're going to have to do something else sometime soon, maybe dive into some of this stuff deeper. So all of you out there, first of all, thank you for checking out Office Hours. Thank you for watching us live. And let me acknowledge you, Ricky, quickly and importantly, for number one, giving of your time. Number two, our alignment on wanting to help people win and understanding that the game has changed. There's a lot of bad information out there. And me and Ricky, in our own ways, are trying to put good information out there. So if you're new to me, go check me out. If you're new to Ricky, go check him out. We are very aligned in what we're trying to do for you, which is help you succeed because we want you to make it. There's an unlimited amount of business out there. So look, Ricky, thank you for what you do. I know the effort that you put into it. I've sat there in your office while you do it. I've seen how much you care. So I appreciate that because, by the way, I didn't even know that until I got to sit down, shake your hand, and hang out with you a little bit, whether your intentions were pure, which brings us right back to where we started, right? You got to really get to know people. The phone is great. The in-person is better. Then you can build that relationship over the long haul. So before we go, Ricky, how can people get in touch with you? Where do you want them to find you? And all of those wonderful things. Where are you hanging out?
I think the best places really is Instagram and YouTube. That's where that's where I'm really laying out my game plans, my daily actions, and the Insta stories. I'm teaching everything I know on YouTube. I have a vlog, The Daily Grind, that shows my day-to-day activities. There's just so much going on with Instagram and YouTube. I have a Facebook group, Zero to Diamond Real Estate Agents, where I'm coaching agents and I'm having them post their call results in the group every day as accountability. It's 100% free. Everything is free that I do. There's no hidden charges. I'm not going to charge you at the end of a webinar or try to get you to click on some link to give me some money. It's 100% free. My overall goal is to reduce the failure rate in the real estate industry, period. So the only way I can do that is by building a big enough brand, by providing enough value to you guys for free, where you'll actually follow me enough and hopefully share my message with the real estate world, which is business is unlimited, real estate is a win-win, relationships over transactions, closings happen every day. How in the world can I help you? Is where you need to come from at all times. I mean, that's the holy grail of service. That's the holy grail of building a big business, because when you capture those relationships, they're worth 10 to 20 deals to you over the life of your career. So YouTube and Instagram, follow me there. Hit me up there with questions. Facebook group, zero2diamond.com has all of my phone scripts and action plans, and there's even an online course there. There's videos, tutorials, anything you need. I'm laying out my entire game plan for the world, and you can take it and do what you want with it. Pick parts that you like, throw away the stuff you don't, use it all, whatever you want to do. So my heart goes out to the real estate community and the industry. I just want to help reduce the failure rate that is just enormously, huge, failure rate in the real estate industry. And I just want to, I know there's a lot of struggling people out there who can make it if they have the right direction.
1,000%, my friend. 1,000%. We're both doing the same thing. If you guys have been watching Office Hours, if you're new to it, go scroll back. This is episode 36. That's at least 36 hours of 100% free content. There is no catch here either. We are aligned on that. We are both doing this in our quote unquote spare time for you, which is why I wanted Ricky here, which is why I want you guys here, because as a real estate school owner, I feel it is my obligation, besides just getting you guys through the test, besides just getting you your continuing ed and post licensing, that you can make it. And I want to help you guys do that. That's what Office Hours is all about. So if you're not on the email list, go to thechrisdonaldson.com, thechrisdonaldson.com. Get on the email list for a very simple reason. One, after this episode, I'm going to give you access to both. I'm going to link to Ricky's script in case you didn't catch it. I'm going to give you access to my script, especially for those that are new, what to say when you're sitting down with sellers. And then you will know about the next couple of episodes as they come up. In 2 weeks, I've got my friend Rhett coming back from Realtor.com to tell you all of the features you need to be taking advantage of that are free, by the way. And then 2 weeks after that, my friend Chad Fincher is coming on from Big Bad Zillow. So we got Realtor.com and then Zillow back to back. So if you're not watching Office Hours, you're missing out. Go check out Ricky's site at zero2diamond.com, and we will see you next time, hopefully at the closing.